Hi guys, good evening and a very warm welcome to all of you to today's price action analysis video. Today in this video I will share with you where I traded, in which instrument I traded and what were my reasons behind taking those trades. So guys, let me tell you first that I specifically trade only on floor pivots and I have added Cambrella pivots to my trading arsenal. The reason being that Cambrella pivots are basically color coded levels which help us to decide on which levels we are supposed to take trades. Let's say for instance, if I take you to the screen of 11th, that is today, that is 11th of April, you can see here that this is the H3 pivot and this is the H4 pivot. Now you can see that this color is a green color and the H3 is a red color. Why are they color coded like that? Because you know that if price was to open between H3 L3, then it might take resistance. There's a very high chance that it might take resistance at the H3 and reverse. Similarly, the L3 is a green level and the L4 is a red level. Now why is that? That is because here from L3, if price were to open here, it can take a bounce, and if it were to go to L4, it can take a, it can give a breakout, and because this is a breakout, this becomes a red level automatically, because since price, if it reverses back to the L4 and you see a reversal sign here, then you can go short on this red candle. Similarly here, if price were to open between H3 H4, then if price goes to and hits H4, then at this level it can, this is the last line of resistance, okay, H4, and the L4 is the last line of support. So if H4 is broken and price gives a nice breakout candle like this, then wait for a pullback and you can take a trade on, say, a pin bar pattern here, that is a hammer pattern here, and since it is a green color, it will now act as a support. So that is why the color coding as per the trade that you will look for at those levels. So now let me tell you how I use these levels and how I assess the or analyze the price action in relation to the previous day's price action. How was the previous day's price action? It was completely below today's price action, right? So if you see this CPR, it was completely below today's CPR. So basically we had an a higher value CPR today, which was not a very wide CPR. It was an average size CPR. And we also had the H3 pivot at this point, which is the Cambrella level. This is the H3, and the previous H3 was at this level, which shows us that there is an elevation in the H3 as well, H3 L3 level. This was the L3 and this was the L3. So you can see that even the H3 L3 level, that is the third level of the Cambrella, is also above the previous third level of the Cambrella. So that is why we see that we have a very bullish outlook today on the market. Now if you go to Bank Nifty, I'll quickly show you on Bank Nifty that we basically had a bearish outlook because we had this lower CPR today, lower value CPR, but I had said in yesterday's video itself that I will still carry a bullish bias in both Nifty and Bank Nifty today, in spite of Bank Nifty having this particular descending or a lower value CPR. And anyway, since Bank Nifty opened the day higher above today's CPR, our lower value bias or the bearish bias is rejected. So we are no more carrying that bias. And that's why when one index is showing you a higher value CPR and the other index is showing you a lower value CPR, you just have to go with the index that actually accepts the bias, your initial outlook or your initial bias, and then you have to trade in the other index also given the same kind of a bias. So did I trade in Bank Nifty today? No, I traded in Nifty today because I liked the pattern in Nifty. Actually, here in Bank Nifty, I did like this pattern also, the very first two candles here. What is the psychology behind this pattern? See, the very point is that in Bank Nifty, the price opens outside the previous day's range. So this is the D high, right? So here is the PDH, and it opened outside it, then made a big red candle. So why was this big red candle in spite of the fact that we had opened the gap up? Because institutions tended to sell immediately after the open and the gap up, because institutions had bought or placed huge buy orders in the pre-open, and then there was profit booking immediately after the open. So price came down. It took support exactly at the cluster of pivots here. What is the cluster here? You can see the R1 and the H4, which is a double pivots there, and with the double pivots you have this particular wick on the bottom, and this red candle was unable to close below H4, and then you saw that there was a green candle here. Now this is a very nice pattern. It's called an extreme wick extreme reversal pattern. So basically what happens is, the psychology is that the price action here shows us that there are buyers at this level, and the buyers have not allowed the candle to close below the H4 pivot. Instead, they have printed this particular green candle here. Now what do? You can go long here, and you can either book your profits at the H5, or you can wait for the day high of the candle to come, and then you can take your profits here. But I did not particularly like my chances here, because my SL would have been either here or here below the low of the candle, the first candle's low, because that is the safest place to keep the SL. And I'm not a risk-taking trader, I'm a risk-averse trader. So normally after going long here, I would not put my SL here. I would rather put my SL below the first candle low, which is pretty close by, which was pretty far away. So I did not get a very good risk reward here. This was not a very good risk reward. I did not like that risk reward. So I decided not to take that trade in Bank Nifty early in the day. But what happened in Nifty? Instead, I tended to trade in Nifty. Why? Because Nifty had this H5 pivot here. And when Nifty broke this H5 pivot, or it gave me a closing above the H5 pivot, what do you see here? You see that there is a red candle here, right? The first opening candle is a red candle, right? And why is it a red candle? Because there are a lot of sellers in this candle. There is a fact here that I would like to share with you. I've shared it in many other videos. Those of you who are watching this channel for new, I'll just repeat it for you, that whenever a candle closes above, I'm not talking about these wicks here, it has to close above this particular red candle's high, then there is a bright chance that all these sellers who are right now short on the market will want to cover their positions, creating buy orders here. So when the breakout occurs from the first candle's high, okay, and if the first candle has a strong body, then we are going to see we might see, I mean, there's no certainty in the market, but we might see a good movement to the upside. So what was my lookout here? My lookout was to take a trade once a candle closed outside this particular range here, but you can see that only wicks were going above here. And then there was immediately the H5 pivot. But when a candle closed outside the H5 pivot, which was the 9:55 a.m. candle, which closed at 10 a.m., that was the 5-minute candle, I immediately initiated a trade at 47.20 rupees. So I had sold put options, that was 17,700 put option, collected 47.2 rupees. Now where was my why did I trade there? Because usually when I have seen that when price opens outside the H4 pivot, then there is a very high chance that the price can go through the H5 and reach H6, because the price is basically trading outside the previous day's range. You can see that the previous day high was here. So the price was clearly trading outside the previous day's range, giving it a very bullish tilt. And again, you can see in Bank Nifty that we had this particular red candle high here, but the price was also above the H4 pivot. So we had a very good upside move to be expected in Bank Nifty as well. But since we had a good, I mean, I saw that the price was breaking out of H5, I had taken a trade in this particular candle here. You can see that price later actually reversed, and it did not really give me my my target there. It actually reversed and took my stop loss, and I booked a stop loss at 58 rupees. So since I had sold, I had written the option, and since the option came, I mean the price came down, I tended to book the loss at 58 rupees. And then later I was waiting for one more trade there to see if I could actually trade one more time and I could gain some profits in intraday today. So one fact here that I knew was that since this is a red candle and this is the low of the candle, I knew that there were a lot of buyers here. Okay, so because of the buyers, the price had gone up to this point, correct? Okay, so this is the first 1 hour high and low, which is called the initial balance high and low. So this is a very wide initial balance high and low, correct? So whenever there is a wide initial balance high and low, when the initial balance is wide, then the price will usually tend to trade within these particular highs and lows. So this was the low, this was the high, that was the first 1 hour high and low, and I had decided to take or initiate a position whenever price came down and made a double bottom there. So then later I waited for price to come back, and then it made this particular candlestick formation, which was a reversal candlestick formation for me. It gave me this wick reversal pattern, which this was a pin bar pattern, and whenever I trade on a pin bar, I don't just trade on a pin bar, I basically initiate the trade after the second candle closes, so that I get a good confirmation. And after the second candle closed, I was sure that it was a good buyer's candle and a good buying strength would be seen, so I had sold the 17,650 put option, and this was the strike price that I had sold, since it was just at the money. And then I sold it at 42 rupees. When I saw that the price was actually taking resistance at the H5 pivot, it actually did touch the H5 here, but it did not make a very strong candle. Can you see this candle? It was not very strong, so I waited for some more time to see if I got any more decay in price. So when it gave me a good drop of around 17 rupees, I closed the trade at 25 rupees, turning the day from a loss making to a profitable day. So that is how you should be looking for trades. You should trade a system. So this is a mechanical system for me. So why did I trade here? Because the price was outside the H4R1, and I knew for a fact that once I had a bullish bias established already, then my bias was always going to be bullish. So I was only going to look for long trades. So like you saw, I looked for long trade here. I never looked to short this pullback because I knew that this pullback could be short. It could end anywhere. Luckily, it did go to the level of the low that was made by the first candle, which was the initial balance low, and then exactly at that level you can see that it made a reversal pattern, and after the hammer candle I took the long trade. So the logic was that whenever you see that there is a wide initial balance, it means that the market is going to be stabilized within the high and low of the day, the initial balance high and low of the day. So that is why you should look for the extremes of the day. You should trade at the extremes. Okay, and that is exactly what I did today. So a mechanical system helps you do that. A mechanical system helps you analyze the day properly, assess the price action properly. It helps you to understand where the buyers are, where the sellers are, and it helps you to take the or initiate the trades accordingly. So that was my analysis as far as Nifty goes, and now let's go and analyze the next day's levels. So you can see that these are the this is the CPR for the next day. It's not a very wide, neither a very narrow CPR. Again, it's a range, an average range CPR here. So it is again a CPR which is a higher value CPR. And what have I told you in higher value CPRs? Your bias should be bullish if the current day closing is above the current day CPR, and the next day CPR is above the previous day CPR, and the next day's open is somewhere above the bottom central. So as long as the open is above the bottom central, you are going to have a bullish bias. And you can also see that the third level of the camarilla, which is right here, and the third level of the camarilla, which is right here, are today also elevated. They are not overlapping like yesterday. So this is a very bullish sign tomorrow. And so what I will look to do is I will look to trade any pullback. I mean, if it opens between the H3 L3, I will look to trade any pullback to the L3. If the price opens between the H3 and H4, I will look to trade any pullback to the H3, of course depending on what sort of price action is seen there. So you can see that the previous day high is also coinciding with the H3 pivot. So that is why it's going to be a very strong level, this H3, because you can see that there are sellers here, correct? So all these sellers who are sitting here, if price tends to open above the H3 level tomorrow, above the PDH tomorrow, and the price tends to close above it, then these sellers are going to get panicked. They are going to panic, and whenever price shows a retracement or a pullback to that level, that is the previous day high, they will all look to close their positions. Now when these sellers close their positions, they will place buy orders. Why will they look to close positions here? Because overnight they will be looking at some theta decay, but suddenly the price will open. If it opens above or against them, then they will want to book their profits immediately at break even itself instead of waiting there. And so that can lead to a bounce from this place and can show us higher highs. Don't forget that we are in a upwards trending market today. So we are in an uptrend currently. Okay, so that is how we will analyze price action tomorrow. And now going over to Bank Nifty, let's check the levels for tomorrow. Bank Nifty has a very wide CPR, and again in Bank Nifty also we see that the CPR is elevated beyond today's CPR, and we can see that the third level of the camarilla, which is this level here, the PP and the L3 are coinciding. Okay, I'll just show you after this. and the H3 and L3 being here, you can see that these boxes are also elevated, so that we again have a very strong bullish bias in Bank Nifty tomorrow as well. So we are in a very strong uptrend right now, and so my game plan tomorrow would be, you can see this level here, see this line, this is the combination of the PP, the pivot zone, the central pivot, plus the L3 of the cams. This is the Camarilla L3. So this level is going to be a star level for me tomorrow, an absolute star level. So if price action comes here and shows me any sort of my favorite reversal patterns, like say bullish pin bar kind of a pattern followed by a green candle, or if this is a red candle followed by a doji and a green candle, which is a morning star pattern, or if I see this sort of a pattern wherein this happens to be a piercing line pattern, even if I see a red candle and then an engulfing candle, which is an outside bar, then also I will look to go long in Bank Nifty at this particular level. So tomorrow I will probably be interested more in trading in Bank Nifty. If you need any more help, and if you need to understand how to read Camarilla pivots and what their functions are and how to integrate them with the floor pivots, then do let me know. I'll be happy to help you. Thanks guys for watching this video. If you've liked it, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and also hit the bell icon so you're notified every time I post a new video. Thank you and see you again later. Bye bye.